Hey traders, welcome back to our Trading Think Script class. My name is Mike Fairborn. It's good to be with you today, folks. Hey, wanted to take a look at a topic I've been getting some requests on for a while now in terms of the market forecast. One of the strategies that is used to pick up on broad-based potential rallies, strength or weakness in the market. I want to look at that specifically here today with you, with specifically some adjustments to an indicator using ThinkScript. The market forecast indicator itself got some highlights there, some interesting developments within that script as well to show you, as well as a scan to really kind of search across broad-based strength in really any index out there that we can track here at Thinkorswim. So I will look forward to going through that with you. I think it's really useful too, particularly when looking for sector performance, sector strength, industries, even perhaps individual companies, but definitely the markets themselves. And so it's a great proprietary tool that we have, but we can make some adjustments to it, some updates to give us a little bit more clarity, more information on how to use that tool, and just some insights in general, scanning, etc. So with that, welcome to you all, and hello to you, Jenny Michelle. Very good. Let's see, last class I'm at NVIDIA. Oh, good. Yeah, NVIDIA is one of those bigger companies out there, isn't it? It is. I mean, that's one we can actually, that actually it was semiconductors. That could be an interesting one to talk about, just broadly speaking, because it is such a big company with this indicator. So hopefully we can find some use out of that too. Sectors, industries today, but actually even the bigger companies as well could be of interest here today. So good notes there. Hello to you, Michael, as well as BJ, Chris B, Robert, XS, and Rojo, like for the fast lane. We've got Eric and others here. Sam, welcome. Folks, any questions, comments, throw those in the chat so we can address those for you. I have my good friend and colleague here. See him in the chat as CM. You can follow him on X, Cameron May CS. I am Mike Fairboard CS. With that, let's hit some quick disclosures so we can get the show on the road. And a couple of questions in the chat that I will hit in just a second when we get going here. So, first off, information here's for general information purposes only. Should not be considered an individualized recommendation. Paper money software application for educational purposes only. Backtesting results, which we do discuss in this class, they are hypothetical. No guarantee that the same strategy implemented today would produce similar results going forward. The market, of course, is an open system. When new data comes in, it can never be the same. And so things can look similar, but backtesting can be interesting, helpful, patterns, etc. But it is different, right? There are some differences clearly, as stated there. No guarantee the same strategy implemented today would be the same going forward. Now, investing involves risk, including for some products more than your initial investment. Past performance of any security strategy does not guarantee future results or success. A look at the futures disclosures, which we do discuss the charts here only, but as it does state, futures options does involve substantial risk, not suitable for all investors. Now, with that, let's pull this up and just take a look at what do I have here? Oh, Citigroup. Okay. I wanted to actually pull up and show you all just the S&P 500, just real quick as we go through this S&P 500 index here. Well, what do we have? We're back on down to our interesting support level, which we did have to, a little bit of a smile there for us right in the middle. Okay, there we go. We killed it. Over here, look at this. So, when you break above the trend line and you're drawing this, I use the closing prices. I've often used those. We came right back down and tested. It's interesting that with all of the forward information and guidance in terms of earnings and all this information that we did dip, and where do we hold at? Right at the vertex of that triangle. Some traders would have drawn this triangle a little bit differently. Again, I use closing prices. I think they are a little bit more relevant, where I'm drawing those trend lines off of, folks, the highs and the lows. Just tapping back into what I read years and years ago from, folks, early 20s to maybe the 40s, 1940s, that did a lot of, that's all they had was just chart data that they were actually doing by hand. But yeah, the closing prices can be interesting. We're right there now, and I'm going to actually just extend this to actually make it look more like an actual triangle with that extension off to the right, although that could be interesting to keep on. But that is what they refer to as the apex of the triangle. And the apex is oftentimes where prices will move. They can bounce off this level, they can break this level. But I want to do this with you just so we have this projection where we did ultimately end up, we broke uh, off of the triangle, the fifth wave move, approximately right over here. That would have been the upside extension move. But conversely, we have to do this because, of course, it can go either way. I've just duplicated that. We can go down here. We don't know where we're going to draw it off of, but where does it break the line at? That's where we put our downside potential extension. Like say, for example, if I put it there, interesting, it puts us right down about 400 points lower to a big round number over there. Do you remember the 7,000, by the way? 7,000 was this long range. I mean, we were there for a long time, but it's right over through here. It's a big round number as well, obviously, but yeah, right through there. And there we are. So I don't know if we'll get that. We don't know. We're still actually technically at support, but at that when you're right at the apex of the triangle, I mean, those lines are right there. You got the upward line, you got the downward line. Uh, it could go potentially in either one of those directions. Although I've been talking about the possibility of a summer rally. We don't know. You know, that really has to, it remains to be seen. Do we begin to trend up higher and go? I would do this, just all else equal, just from the mind of a lot of different traders doing this. A lot of times when you still are continuing to go sideways, um, just to help out to kind of get a sense of the direction of that trend line, just do another line up on top here. That might act now because that's a line that we have yet to break above. I'm going to highlight this actually going forward so I can see this. But we have not broken above that, obviously, yet, above this line. And that could represent maybe more indications of strength, potentially even breaking the prior highs, obviously, would be interesting too. But we haven't seen either of those two. So we'll see what we get. A lot of this, just a quick summary so we can tie this in, is sort of setting up around the situation that we've got. Talked about this in the markets and sectors class last week, and it was the Red Sea, the Straits of the Red Sea. There is a name, I think Jenny had mentioned it to us, an Arabic name. I can't even pronounce it, but the around kind of that pathway around Saudi Arabia as opposed to the Straits of Hormuz around Iran and Oman. So that does present even a larger flow of oil. And I know there's been some threats about shutting that down from one of the other groups that Iran does support. So we'll see what happens. But this is sort of a rounded pattern. I sent a little X post out in this just as a heads up, just to keep you guys posted on this right here. And all it simply shows is this right here. This is the volume profile. A little bit quicker for me just pulling this up as opposed to setting this up on the chart. But we are coming in to this range right here between that 190. Again, this is where the volume, if we lay all that volume on a sideways horizontal plane, where do all the trades come in? Between these two yellow lines over here. We're right back to it. It does present now resistance until we can get up above it, or at least a range where it could be tricky to kind of move through. So just park that in the back of your minds. It is something to, we'll see what happens. Just posted this morning, but yeah, we'll see. That is oil though, and we'll see what happens. I think it does. It's, you start to get above. So we saw the breakdown when we got above 90, but it was also things like Google that were down quite a bit on earnings. We also saw Tesla too. Uh, Interesting on Google, a quick note, they beat nearly, I think, all of their metrics. The only thing that they didn't, I guess, beat was an increase in capital spending for AI, even though that's showing a lot of growth and really some good numbers over here. I mean, this is 511 to $9.11 right there. You can see a massive beat and higher expectations, but the guidance in terms of capital investment, they didn't want to invest as much. So there you go. And then there's Tesla there. Oh, Tesla what? Oh, okay. Put something else in there for me. There's your Tesla. So I think these guys did miss. Yeah, 41 cents to 33, which was a miss of, no, they actually beat, but maybe the guidance was lower. Anyhow, there you go. There's some of the big movers that are putting the markets down. Wanted to bring this up because there is an indication that we talked about previously, and I think many of you have heard this. It is a little bit more simple, a simple explanation of the market forecast, but the coding to get the indicator right was not that simple. It took a long time. actually to get it up and going. But I want to put up the market forecast and I'm going to show it to you on a couple of different fronts here as we look at this, because it can give some really good indications as to what might be just around the corner here. Now, that's the market forecast. We have a lot of different lines on here. This is our proprietary indicator that we do use here exclusively at, you could say using on the Thinkorswim platform, through Charles Schwab. These are very short term. As I clicked on the wheel to get inside here, let me just highlight it. There's a momentum and a near term. I'm going to take the show plots out of these and just leave that intermediate term on here for now. So there you go. So I just put it as a big, thick green line. Now, what I've been saying is that, and we've been talking about, is a lot of times when you get above this level, 80, in a market, in a large stock, and as I mentioned earlier, I did want to take a look at, let's say, for example, NVIDIA. We could look at that, or a collective Mag 7, which we do have here too, just to see collectively, because it's such a big component of the market, how that could push things around. But I'm really just trying to devise here an indication of the market forecast with what I'm going to show you here. And I have the indicator to kind of compare the two, but then also how to scan for really market strength or weakness very, very quickly across any market, sector, industry, or let's say just a large company or a smaller basket of large companies like the Mag 7. So that's what we're going to look to do here. But a quick note, in terms of picking up strength, how can the market forecast help us on the intermediate term line? Just very, very quickly, we've got an 80 here and a 20 is the way that some traders will use this. But it can be effective, and I want you to look at this historically too, as we go back, and we'll look at this in just a bit. But if you get above here, this represents a form of bullishness. Drawing that in the wrong color. Don't like to use red for bullishness, but I can use a neutral, something like this as a yellow. We started to kind of break above that level right through here. What's interesting is we didn't make a new high, but it was a strong enough force to really get us going. And you can find a lot of these strong forces, and a lot of times they will occur like in the first 3 to 4 days, like a powerful sort of conviction sort of move off the bottom. It literally takes that to get the market forecast longer term, intermediate term line moving off of that 20. But if we can get above 80 here, when you are above here, the market is giving, the way that traders are looking at this signal, a bullish indication. It's a bullish sign that it might be the market is open. You could take potentially long trades, maybe like a risk on as opposed to a risk off. Now you get conversely the exact same thing to the downside here when you're looking at below the the 20 line. So if you're below here, it's you're not getting that conviction. In fact, is saying basically just stay out. There's a lot of weakness in here, and you got the first signs of that like right over here, right over here. It just says, gosh, and a lot of times, towards the end of a move, it can be very, very sharp before it potentially can bottom. So you're getting indications here to just generally sort of risk off in the market. Okay. Now, the next thing is there is sort of an intermediate sort of a buy, an indication of a buy. And that is if you are above 20, let's just get this fresh, above 20 and breaking higher. The line from one day to the next, it's pointing up. So this is sort of a buy, an initial entry. It can give you signs here in terms of a breakout. It was early. In fact, this one hit getting above 20, like right through here. But I think the first 3 days above 20, a lot of times you can get above that 80 so fast if you're getting this very, very, very strong through here. This move where you're getting a sharp move above 20, the first 3 to 5 days or so. But this move right over here, breaking out above this range, we know that that's just bullish territory. Doesn't matter, bull, right there. It's bull. It doesn't matter, according to the way traders are using this, what direction that line is facing. That line could be going up, down or sideways. Folks, if it's north of 80, it's bullish and it can mean bullish implications for the market, sector, industry, or potentially even a large stock. But if it's over here, there are initial signs where some traders might still be interested in taking, let's just say, for example, a shorter term. They'll have eyes on it, but maybe they'll start into a position in the market somewhere in a stock or whatever the case might be. Same thing holds true over here on the downside. If we go below 80, for example, if we're below 80, but not below 20, if it's facing down, that's sort of an intermediate term sell signal. Now, I'm going to throw this indicator out here because there's a lot more information you can get. This is the one in ThinkScript here that I'm going to share right now with you. And by the way, ThinkScripts aren't guaranteed for timeless or actually, but as long as the data coming into the platform, in this case, open, high, low, and close is good data. We generally have great, good data. Then it should just operate effectively. But let's do a comparison here. So I've got this one, and this indicator shows you everything I just told you on the chart. So we'll pull it up here. It's just market underscore forecast as a strategy to be adjoined here with a scan shortly. Okay, so let's click on it right now and I'll pull it up and everything's in place. You can change the colors. I'll explain this, but that is right there, the strategy that shows everything else. And you've got the forecast line up top, but there's actually some cool things you can pick up on here. Not just the colors. First of all, a couple different things I put in. I put in the 80-20 lines over here, as you can see. The 80-20 lines, that's a color you're probably not used to seeing. It's not a normal color that pops up. I tried a blue. I like that lighter blue. It's not so sharp on the eyes. So I've got that here. It's in the script. I'll highlight that in just a second. I've made sure that right here, when we get above 80, it bolds. It's the thickest bold that we've got. And as you can see right there, it is dark green. This is the area where it's the extreme bullish level. Extreme bullish up here, okay? And you can see over here, you can look over here, there was some dips as we got going, but like over here, as we were, and this can act as support and resistance too. I'm just going to highlight another range. I want you guys to go back and take a look at some of these right over here. That's really represented a big portion of a move in the market. There were a lot of strong stocks too that really ran up big. We know there were several over here, semiconductors, memory stocks, a lot started to go off like crazy over here when the market started to rally. But we've got that up top as bullish. Now down below, we have the dark red highlighting when you get below 80. Light green when you come above that 20 and you're approaching into the 80 level. Again, when you're breaking down below, it's the lighter red. Now, one quick thing, and by the way, this would work fine too. I mean, here's the NDX. I want to talk about a key strategy here. In fact, I'll share this first into the chat for you. Gosh, there's a lot of good questions. And by the way, folks, I will go through each one of these and read them if we don't have time. I've got to get through this core material first as we put this together. But yeah, good information. And by the way, that's why I got a lot of just kind of feedback too on this market forecast, a couple of different things. But there you go. This line is set to maybe go into red here. It really depends. Now, this is the NDX. Now, as you look at the NASDAQ 100, by the way, this has, if you look at the NASDAQ itself, like the NASDAQ 100, there's an ETF for this. We don't talk about ETFs here, but if you look at that, it's about 23% higher beta than the S&P 500, the NASDAQ. It's more volatile. It has about 66% tech stocks in it, tech stock exposure. Conversely, with the S&P 500, it's closer to about 35. So it's about two-thirds. The NDX is about two-thirds tech. S&P 500 is about 35. So about a third to two-thirds, really. Whereas your beta on the S&P 500 is just measured as a 1. So it's a bit more volatile, but it's coming down into this range. Now, sometimes when you get down below here, it's also referred to as a little bit oversold. It can be, and you could see it spike back up as well. Just as a side note, now you can see over here, we're clearly below that triangle line here. Maybe there is some support if I draw a line right through here Interesting on the chart. Now, with that intermediate buy, because you'll notice when we are above 20 and the line starts to go higher, what happens to the line here? It gives us that intermediate term, not necessarily just a buy, but hey, maybe the market, maybe you could take a position on. We bounced right off that 80, okay? Bounced off it, which can happen sometimes in consolidation. That's really a key point, okay? One of the things you'll find, S&P 500, NASDAQ, a lot of different sectors is this right here. See this? Lower lows and lower highs. When you see that going lower low and lower high, this is a bit of a signal amplifier to what can be happening in the market. We didn't actually get that over here. We got a little bit higher lows for a while at lower highs, but notice we broke down. That is one of the risks of this intermediate term line, sort of an intermediate term potential entry indication from the market forecast strategy that some traders will use. If you see this coming down, it's a signal amplifier, and watch it closely because it can play a key role to just kind of warn you too about situations. Now over here, when you're breaking above like this, and it's just kind of like a very, very quick move coming off that bottom, maybe 3 to 5 days up, which is an interesting scan strategy where we're going to tap into. Keep eyes on it. Let me just share it. Okay. I went on rambling again, but let's just share it. Let's get this going here. Okay. And there we have it. So this indicator now highlights that strategy. I want to talk about it too in a second, but I got to send it out. So here you go. So MF intermediate strategy script. Okay, so there it is right there. So you guys have that and you know how to post it, right? Once you get that, just go up into your setup, open shared item, copy paste, just Control V, Command V if you're in a Mac, preview, name it. Name it something that it normally is, market forecast, update, or method, or strategy, whatever it is, or intermediate term line, then import it. You will then find it over here in your different sets of, your different indicators. Okay. You'll find that there. So it's a good, quick way to tap into it. Okay. Yeah. Lines are 80 and 20. Exactly. That's what they are. And let's just tap into that right now. I want to show you a couple things here, a couple of different things that I hadn't done before, but that I did have to do. I had to do some corrections here to keep a constant line. I had to set this up in terms of intermediate. I set this down a little bit below so you could just kind of read everything. But it's I'll let you read through this, but market forecast less than, this is a greater than, simple coding methods here for the change in the lines. This color down here was kind of unique. I didn't have the regular blue line. I had to use these numbers, which I had not done before. I dug in and found some of those. And by the way, there's a short dash and a long dash. As I was putting a dash in here, I found the differences on this line. You can change this if you wanted to. I like kind of the longer dash as opposed to just the dotted dash line, but you can change those. Those are some of the parts behind it. But what I really want you all to remember are some of the sort of the approaches or strategies to use it that you can see on the indicator, and that is the trend. What does the trend look like? In many, many cases, if you're up here above that 80 for a couple, 2, 3 days, up to 5 days, it might be one of the stronger moves. And that right there is an interesting scan. How did I see it? How did I think of that scan? Just by looking at the chart. We're going to build the scan next here, but any questions thus far? I think we're okay. Yeah. Yeah, here's the standard color. If you just go in and if you just had a blue in here, well, you've probably seen it. Like it's this. I'll just do a really simple one. It's especially when you're coding, you have to go off script a little bit. If I were just to choose blue, oh, that is the blue. Okay, that's the one I was always liking. If I come in here, the standard one, at least as I found, is just if you type in blue, let's just do it up top just to highlight this because it was interesting and it was different. Oh, this one's built into it. Forget it. Never mind. That's just the remember the code isn't available, but we're kind of working on some of this code right now behind the scenes and setting it all up. These are the same, they're just scrunched. So there you go. It's just still using that proprietary indicator, but very, very useful in actually, um, you know, understanding what's going on in terms of the strategy. Okay, next up, let's do this. I'm going to take this one off. We'll just leave the main one on right now. So we've got this strategy down, but really, I think what's helpful is being able to come in here and scan for it. This is such a simple scan, and the reason why we can do this is because it's all pre-built. Now I am in the scan tab and I am in Stock Hacker. It won't work if you're in, I've tried these in different hackers and yeah, you got to be in the stock one, just broadly speaking. Now, add filter, come down here into your study, click on the pen. I'll pull it up right now. I'm just going to delete what we've got. First thing to do is just delete the ADX crossover that comes up. I'm putting this in here because I think it's very straightforward and easy for everybody to use. But we're talking about the study itself. So we click on study, we go into market, F for forecast. Quick way just to pull it up. Once you've got it there, we need to determine that it's not the momentum near term, but it's the intermediate term line. It's really kind of the power behind this. Where is the market forecast intermediate term line at its strongest? Well, it's above 80, but we want to see it maybe above 80 for a period of time and be able to track that. One way we can do that is it crosses above that value of 80. And here's that value right there. Getting above 80, I'm going to say within the last, well, let's just start out with 5 bars here. Because sometimes when it gets above there, it can hold for a month and a half, 2 months or more. Identifying some of the stronger trends out there, but broadly based. So that then you could maybe look at some of the stocks within the sector, within the market, within the sector, within the industry, and see where that strength is at. I got this just by using that strategy. That's where this scan idea came up from. Okay. If I click OK here, so easy, so straightforward. I'm not scanning in the S&P 500. Instead, let's come down here and go right into market sectors and industries, a big basket here. Not 11 indices, but like there are a lot in here. But what's been moving above 80? We know what the market's been doing. Well, we know the Nasdaq's been doing. We know the S&P has been well, it had been holding up today. It was kind of a sort of a trifecta of a lot of different things going on, a storm, if you will. But look over here. I mean, it's like a big dip, but within here, what is moving? Well, is gold moving? We could run it across commodities as well. No, gold is not. Gold has been down, and look how it's been flat through here. Another key strategy, just a lot of lows down here, not getting up high, not more than a day or two above, and then back down again. Really no indications yet. Way, way far away from 80. That's not where we're at, though. Let's look back at the market. Let's just see back in the scan now. 500 sectors in industry. So let's scan through it. There you go. We actually have this group right here that has come up over this range. Now, here are the changes today, but what do we have? We've got energy. Now, that's not too surprising. Energy has been strong, and energy, in fact, might remain strong. The CL kind of has that old cup. We don't know if it's going to handle over here. It could handle inside that volume profile that we looked at earlier, possibly move, but these are signs of strength. What else do we have? We've got commodities are in here. Metal, glass, plastic. These are indices, right? These are not, these are just indices. They're not traded, but we could look in here real easy to find out what stocks are within, let's say, for example, metal, glass, and plastic containers. Diversified support services. What the heck is that? What are those companies? Well, collectively, those companies have moved. That's where we're seeing kind of bullish strength. Research consulting, more commodities, the tobacco, technology, hardware, and equipment are above there as well. Crossed above 80 within the last 5 bars. Now, um, what I want to do is I want to go over here. I've already saved it. And you guys, I want you to build that. Okay. Try to build it if you can. Oh, by the way, there's a survey link in the chat. If you get a chance to fill that out, just a couple questions. Lets me management know, or my manager, I should say, your thoughts on this, if you're finding this useful, effective, informative. But if you're able to do that, by the way, if you're also finding it informative, good time to say it, of any value, just smash that like button. It lets us know that these presentations are helpful for you using the tools, capabilities of Thinkorswim. All right. Lastly, while I'm on it, be sure to follow us on Trader Talks channel. I'll put that into the chat here. Might as well hit it all in one shot, starting off with the surveys. There you go. Uh, but yeah, if you're not subscribed, love to have you on board. There's 206,000 subscribers where you can get into our playlist, just saved content. Uh, we did one yesterday on the swing trading, but take a look at the others. There's Cam in here, Connie, others. Yep, take a look at those. All right, let's move forward now. One of the great things to look at in terms of just having this functionality on the Thinkorswim platform is the watch list on the left-hand side, because as I've saved this, and I have, it's just called the Market Forecast Intermediate. You guys saw how to build it. If you go over here, you'll have a read on what markets, sectors, industries, potentially other areas, futures contracts, which fall under, we talked about that disclosure already, but um, commodities are within that futures group. Are they moving? Are they above 80? That's a broad basket of a lot of different stocks within commodity groups too, right? So you can pull this up over here under, let's say, for example, a watch list, and I'm going to find it right now here for us. It's under market forecast right there. I got a lot of M's still. Market forecast sectors and industries right there. I just built it today. So if I pull this up, there you go. It's the same one you got to the right. Now, why is this useful? Because I can link it to the charts, and I can also get real-time updates every day. What meets the criteria of the scan that we just ran? You'll only get that, though, if you save it. So that's really taking advantage and extending the benefits of creating a Think script. Go up top, save it. That's not the one I had. Let me load it first. Market forecast, right in here. That was that. It's so simple. One we can all build right in Condition Wizard. Crosses above 80 within 5 bars. Just the key core intermediate term line right there. Do you guys want me to send it anyways? I'll just share it just because it's very short, but I want you to build it just all within the Condition Wizard so you get familiar with it. But here is the S and the scan right there. Or again, Think script's not guaranteed for time accuracy. I just got an error on that. Couldn't send it through. Let me try it again. Scan. It's really simple, but love to have you build it yourself in there just so you can have it. But I've saved it for you in case you want to import it. All right. The one thing you might want to put on here too, there are no bid and asks because it's an index. It's not traded, and so it's not a trading, uh, security or anything. So we could just go over here and just type in description. That could be helpful. Put that right after the symbol, and then that way we know exactly what group it is. There you go. So that just kind of mirrors what we've got over. I don't need that much space. Let me just do this. We'll widen this out. I could even shorten this. We don't need that full symbol for sure. Just enough to click on, and there you go. That enough space? You can probably see it from there. I've linked it to the chart, so let's just take a look at these right now. So integrated oil and gas right there. Just barely. Look familiar, maybe? This is, and this scan found it for us, a simple Condition Wizard Think script, but knowing what could be the strongest part of the market forecast is what we've got. That's above 80. That's the real strength of that range. When do we get above 80 over here? You could argue a little bit earlier, but I would say right above here. Do you find that interesting? Look at this. We broke above a long-term range right there. Now, do you think some of the companies within here did okay? Well, I think so because collectively, this is what they did. This is a collection of stocks that fit within that S&P Integrated Oil and Gas Services Group. Now, if I just back this out a little bit, if we wanted to, I'm not even going to back it out. I'm just going to show you. Do you see this? Up and down. Kind of like a weekly bull flag, maybe? A weekly. BF for short. Bull flag right there, folks. You got it. There's your weekly bull flag. Possibly. We don't know. But you can see larger upward move, consolidation. The only thing I would say, what could be a potential driver here? Although it's not good for any of us for like gas prices, etc. But I'm just saying, if there were another issue with the Red Sea, well, are there other markets going higher? Yes, this would be one we could look at. Boom, it pulled it up right today. It happened. Now, did any of you, let me ask you this, and I want honesty here. Did any of you know that this crossed above this market forecast level? This, I didn't even know really this existed, to be honest. I've never looked at this. But if you did, I'd like to know, in all honesty. But I mean, it's the scan that found it. It's the concept behind it that can help us spot this broad index strength out there, perhaps, as it's moving. I mean, it is showing strength. And so by definition, that is strength. But let's just see. I always revert back to the patterns like this. See the cup? Could it handle over here? If so, we have a measurement. And believe me, we should, I would like to, in my swing trade class, look at a number of these stocks if we start to flag over here, because that could be the cup and handle that I know many of you are so very fond of. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. Maybe you are. Look at this, but there are other commodities in here that are doing something similar. Let's go into some others, though. Look at this. Okay, this has been up a little bit. Do you see anything here? Metal, glass, plastics. I personally didn't know. I have never looked at this before in my life. But this is broad based to find it. I have not forgot about Jenny's NVIDIA as well. We're just going to try a big number as well as Magnificent Seven. But this is sort of the value that that can have for us. Do you see possibly here a little bit of a flag coming up? This is not our first time of the rodeo, so to speak here. We have been above 80 for a bit. We've come back down, but we're holding. This represented a very, very powerful range. Are we seeing something like that over here? Question mark. People that just look at this chart might say, that's kind of flaggish. So park that in your mind. All right, let's do this. We'll end up with one within the Magnificent Seven, but check these out. You guys, let's see what you got here. Jim says, how would you scan for that breakout above a sideways trend to get the beginning of that wave? Let's see, how would you scan for the breakout above the sideways trend? Jim, are you still looking at this one or something different? Or were we looking over here? This was also sideways. One thing you could do, just as an idea here, we could scan for this. I did this in the market. Let me show it to you. There is a similar one we did over here. I'm going to highlight this real quick. 1 second, all. It was down here to Jim's point. It was down here. It was the market clusters one. So this one right here, I'll post this in. The concept here, I think could work for this. I think. I can't be certain, Jim, but I think this concept could work. And the reason is when you're clustering, a lot of times what happens, if I said, if prices are coming up here and we have a pullback over a range or something, a lot of times you're going to find, I'll switch colors here. There could be a 20 period moving average, a 10 period moving average that's finding a range in here. Now, can we plot something like that on the market forecast? Easy. We can plot a moving average on the market forecast. We could add one to it right now if we wanted to and use that as a guide for staying within a range. We could try to put it within a range within the market forecast as well, but as long as it's, let's say, within 3 to 5% of that range, which you're going to get over here The concept, I'll put it in here, is just the MA clusters. And we can build that. I mean, we can work on it. That's why I like these ideas in the chat so we can review them as well. All right. Again, folks, there is a survey link. If you find this effective, check that out. Just two questions in there. And then also, yeah, smash that like button. If you're getting value, you got to be getting value out of this to do that. But there you have it. Let's just narrow this down. But you got that there. Uh, that's the concept. We can build something like that. Probably through something, an idea like that, though. If it's breaking out, let me know, Jim, if we're, oh, yeah. If you can find that one, post that into the chat, that link, and I'll pull it up. We'll go through it. Okay. This scan I picked up the breakout. This scan would have shown, picked up that breakout if we had run. Okay. Yep. Yep. A lot of these, look over here too. See this one right there, resistance. We have a 1 to 5 day over here on this because we're trying to capture this. Look at that. That move right there, powerful off the bottom. That's 3 soldiers up, and I'm talking big 4 soldiers up. I don't even think that's a candlestick pattern, but I know the 3 soldiers is 1, 2, 3, 4 on this index. Now, some people would say, I missed the move. It's already gone. Well, market forecast says it might just be starting. Keep eyes on it. And it was. Believe me, that was my early trading days. I said, my gosh, how can I get it up here when I'm down here, type thing. This one doesn't trade, but I'm just saying like a stock that looks like it. And by the way, just as a final note here, shoulder, head, shoulder. Let's hit the Mag 7 real quick. You had an inverted head and shoulders pattern too. Mag 7, I'm going to pull that up. And remember what we created? Although there's an ETF for the Mag 7, we don't go into ETFs here, but we can go this. Look at that. That big one. Boom. Oh, Tesla, Google, bringing us down a little bit here today. Did we get above? No, no, slightly there, not much, not conviction like we were looking for. We're looking for like a 3 day quick move over that. Ooh, that was for sure right there. Look how fast that it got above there for the mags. But the mag 7 has really been the lag 7. Um, and right there, didn't get it again. Indications of not the kind of strength we're after. Now, we want to choose that one right there, NVIDIA, to get the very first question from Jenny and see where we're at. Okay. Do you find this maybe? This is kind of interesting. Now, what I found on this, you're gonna have to ignore these levels because we do have a swing trade on this for the swing trade class. And then you say, hey, Mike, why'd you put the swing trade on? It's not doing the market forecast thing. Well, we were looking at patterns over here. In fact, this pattern that we looked at, remember, these are just paper money trades we're doing here. It's a swing trade example trade, but which is every trade that all the coaches do, but or example trades. But there you go. This was a shoulder head shoulder looking at a possible breakout, an extension up to this high, which is this target range right there. If we are trading ThinkScript, this is how we would kind of look at this. Okay, so now you got it. Okay, that's what those lines are. Now, lastly, oh, that's why I zoomed in. I wanted to show you this right here. Are we too late to the party over here? Didn't even break out yet. You're getting the signs here. Pretty decent run. Could that have been a flag? Well, it held right at the prior high. Okay. Some signs of strength. Now, what about this? Lower lows and lower highs. The very, very first thing we talked about. You've got to keep an eye on this. This is what kind of clued us in to using that scan. The trend is down. What is the strongest part right here? We can run another scan. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of homework as the last thing. Go into the condition wizard and say breaking above the 20 over the last 3 bars. And that's going to give you a whole other basket of companies. We could tie it in. Well, there's a few things we could do, but I wanted to highlight that. Anyways, folks, I hope you found this useful and informative. I thought it was big enough to do a whole class on because I mean, if you can expand this out to markets, industries, sectors, industries, baskets of companies, and then finally additional companies out there, it might be an effective way. We didn't even scan it across the S&P 500. Now, it's meant to be, some will use it on stocks. It's really meant to be based upon the market. All right, everybody, smash that like button if you found it informative. Be sure to subscribe to our Trader Talks class. Love to have you on board. That was right there again. All right. Thank you, Cam, for your help in the chat. As always, folks, there is that survey link in the chat. If you get a chance to fill that out, just two questions. Let us know. Loved it or hated it. But on that, have a fantastic rest of the day and look forward to our next class. See y'all.